Well, hello there, my friends. It's me, Stu, here with the legendary James Wedmore. And legendary, yes. We got the peanut gallery.
Uncle James.
Yeah.
He's not really my uncle.
Okay, all right. So we are here today because we're going to be talking about most important thing, foundational to every single business, which is nailing the niche market that you are looking to serve. And James, I wanted to talk to you about this because in the past couple of months, we've had a whole lot of new people coming into our world, and I have been fielding a lot of questions. And one of the most popular questions that I've been getting is, will my membership site work for this market? Or will my course work for that market? Or will my product, will my service, all kinds of questions work for this market? So I really want to unpack this. I want to unpack like, how do we know if the market that we're looking to enter is the right market? How do we know if the offer we're looking to make is right for the market we're looking to serve?
Yeah.
Because this is foundational to growing a successful business. So as we get into this, when we're talking about figuring out your niche markets, where do you begin as it relates to thinking about which market to go or not go into?
Yeah, this is great. By the way, I'll teach on this for 2 days at a time every year because it's such an important piece, and like you said, it's foundational. It's like Monopoly. Do they have that game in Canada?
Oh,
We have it right here.
we have it right there, James. Hold on.
Come on, shut up.
All right, Mr. Smart Guy, look at that right there.
Oh, okay. This is for Marla. This is a question for Marla.
Marla,
What is the
Marla,
very
for you.
What is the very first step and first decision you have to make when you're going to play Monopoly?
What's the
What character you
Yeah, what token you're going to use? Am I going to I'm always
have? What?
I'm always the old car.
what are you?
The cat.
The cat or the dog?
There's
That's
a
usually-
cat?
Yes.
Is there a cat in there?
Look, I have
Well,
it.
clearly, James, you've got an old version of Monopoly. Get with the times here, my friends.
We've lost a few pieces. So
Wait,
Hold it. That's the camera up there.
cat, or that's doggy.
that's the dog. Yep.
And there's the cat.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does this have to do with anything we're talking about? Nothing. I just wanted to talk about Monopoly. Before you can play the game, you got to choose your piece. And that's like choosing your niche. It really becomes, you really, if you haven't chosen that, nailed it, and moved forward with that, then anything else that you're doing, like if you're trying to skip that step, it's like trying to play Monopoly, but you don't have a piece, right?
And by the way, James, you're not alone in this. Like Ty said, what? A cat? That's new.
Thank you.
Ty says she was the shoe. Rachel said, I didn't know there was a cat.
Thank you. You guys are making fun of me over here, but Marla is always teasing me. So this is the first piece. You can't play the game without it. In fact, we started teaching about how to nail your niche. It was actually because we were promoting you a couple of years ago. And the biggest hindrance that people had from joining Tribe was they said, I just don't know what to make a membership about. So this is a big piece. You have a lot of people that want to help, that big hearts, desire to make a difference in people's lives, and they can't get past this first step. And so what we found, first and foremost, before I answer your question, I've not forgotten your question. Bottom line, that question that people are asking you, can you build a membership on this? Can you do this? What is at the heart of a lot of that question, what drives that question for most people is validation. And I want to speak the truth, even if you don't like it, but no one can validate your niche for you but the marketplace. Stu and I can sit here and say, oh, I really like it, and I know other people that have been successful doing similar things, or we can give you our hunch, we can give you our gut feeling, I think you're going to do pretty well with this. But that's just our opinions. That's like, we don't have a crystal ball for niche reading. But I'm still going to give you guys some like structural things. But the most important thing is if you're sitting there for any amount of time beyond a couple of weeks, hemming and hawing over which direction to go in, you want to start to ask yourself, am I looking or waiting for some external validation, someone else to give me the green light and the thumbs up to say, go and you got this? My first niche, do you know my first niche? What my first niche is? I got it?
I do.
No, he doesn't. You don't even know my birthday.
Oh, don't even start. It's in September. See?
What's my birthday?
What do you know his birthday? Oh, she's like
Marla.
Uncle James.
Okay, all right.
Marla. Okay.
By the way, let me just kind of give Marla, just hang on. Let me give everybody context. This is getting out of hand real quick. My kids, my family love James. They know James. Anytime they have a chance to speak to James, they want to jump on it. So my kids are just off camera here.
As soon as I knew she was in the room, I was like, this is not going to go well at all.
Yeah, I'm like, they have a fun banter with James. So just know that.
And Stu is always at the butt of every joke. So
oh boy,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But your first niche was bartending.
Yeah, that's where I started. That's all I knew how to do at the time. And I was teaching people how to bartend. Now, what's very funny is I call this the leapfrog effect, which is, what if you looked at your life and your business journey? Because the moment you're in business, you're on a path. It's a path of the entrepreneur. And you're moving forward on that path. And that path has a trajectory, has a vector. And what I've found as I look back at 14 years is that everything I was doing was leading me to the next thing. And to have the faith and the courage to take that first step and then that next step is really all we have to do. Because a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines of life, the sidelines of business, and they're waiting for the neon signs. They're waiting for clarity. And unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. Trust me, I tried. That's backwards. Action creates clarity. And what I noticed was that I didn't get into my head about what a lot of people do is like, is this the right niche? I just said, you know what, this is a great place to get started and we'll see where it goes from here. And I didn't realize that was the right approach. And it sure did, because you know what happened is the first sale came in April 8th, 2008. San Antonio, Texas. Changed my life forever. That first person who bought my bartending course. And then it said down at the bottom of the invoice, how did you hear about us? Do you know what they said?
No, I don't.
You should know these things about me. Marla knows. They said YouTube. Yeah, I'm so sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's classic.
Classic James.
Classic Uncle Wedmore.
Yeah, Uncle James. The person said they saw a YouTube video. Now, for people that have known me, and I'm not expecting anyone to know me, but I've been around a long time, and I built $1 million business around YouTube. I started teaching people how I was building my bartending business on YouTube. People wanted to learn it, and I started selling products. And the point is a natural evolution was taking place. And so what happens is, and there's a lot we can speak to, so I'm going to go over a couple things really fast, is that a lot of people think it's permanent. They think this decision is permanent. You don't want to do that. It's an evolution. It's more effective to get started, because remember, not making a decision is still a decision. Indecision is a decision to do nothing. And I believe that doing nothing is one of the greatest mistakes that we can make. I think most people are afraid to make mistakes, and so they don't do anything. That's the mistake, because inaction is the biggest cost and consequence. But taking an action and not getting the intended desired result will only lead to one valuable thing, and that's clarity and a lesson and what you need to be doing. Contrast gives you clarity, right? Action leads to contrast. Contrast leads to clarity. So get going. But it's not permanent. I've seen it change. I've seen it shift. I've seen me have multiple iterations in the many, many years that I've been around. You know, just like Stu started with his first niche was ideaincubators.com. Classic niche.
Actually, no. Nice try.
Pumpkin secrets. Halloween secrets.
I thought we were friends. You know, you're giving me slack.
Stop it.
But to your point though, like if it's interesting when you do reflect back on
Yeah.
what led to what, so let's go down your timeline and then we'll go down my timeline and we'll show how, one decision led to another. So
Yeah.
why are you laughing? You think I'm going to start with a joke? No, I'm a true friend. So
I felt there was going to be a joke there.
no, I'm not. But yours, okay. So let's talk about yours. Started with bartending,
Yeah.
and then it led to what?
Well, I had a few other little side things. I was doing a couple at a time. So at around that time, took a little detour. Oh, you think it's all supposed to be a perfect straight line and everything just works perfectly? No, absolutely not. It goes like this, right? So short version is my parents are in real estate. They've been in real estate for, as long as real estate has probably been invented. And they asked me to come in and start teaching how to use things like Facebook and Twitter for real estate agents. Before I knew it, I was coaching real estate agents how to use social media. This is 2008, 2009. That led to connecting with somebody who was in the relationship and dating space, and I became their entire marketing department, helped them build their business. So I'm doing the bartending, I'm doing social media for real estate, and then I'm doing this guy's relationship and dating stuff. And then it kind of all converged and came back together, and I started doing YouTube. And that was by 2011, and we launched a $97 product, Video Traffic Academy, and you still say is your favorite course. Isn't that right?
No, I have another favorite course of yours, not Video Traffic Academy, but keep going.
Oh, okay. And then that evolved into an iteration of different trainings. I created a membership. A membership.
Holla?
Real Marketing Insider, which helped people make videos. So my YouTube course taught people how to rank their videos, but people were like putting out pretty crappy quality videos. So I taught people like video fundamentals, created a membership around that. And other little like video related products, like how to use your iPhone and how to do live video, how to do video ads. And I built a whole, business around that. And this leads me to a very important point, and then we'll continue on the timeline because I go off on tangents a lot. A lot of people. Do you want me to go on another one? Huh?
No.
Huh? I got all day.
Okay. Led to the membership, led to a little video products. Keep going.
I like to just poke them a little bit. Okay. So a lot of people are hesitant to choose a niche because they go, James, Stu, you can't put me in a box. The niche, the specialization and specification puts me into a box. You can't put me in a box. Of course we can't put you in a box. You're infinite potential. A niche does not define you. It defines your offer.
Mm.
And when you get that distinction, that's a game changer for people, because people say, I can do so much. I can help so many people in so many different ways. And I say, I understand that. But when you go to people and say, hi, I can help you solve any problem in any place, in any time, in any way, you become everything to everybody or nothing to no one. And people don't, when it comes to an online digital product or membership, online course membership, whatever, people really do need that specificity of, I'm going to learn this one thing A to Z or on a continual basis. And so it puts your offer in a box. And how many offers can you have? Unlimited. But we need it for the offer in order to make the offer more irresistible. Said another way, to the degree in which you niche down and specialize is to the degree in which you create demand and desire for your offer. So if you want to make it harder to sell, if you want to make your offers less desirable, you can make them big and broad and general and nebulous and confusing and all that type of stuff, which is what people do. And really what I like to do, the whole concept of niching down, by the way, make sure to remind me, Stuart, I have a gift for your audience. I didn't even tell you this. There's no opt-in. There's no nothing. People have paid for this. As a part of a training I did. I want to give it to you guys for free. I'll tell you in just a second. I just had that idea before. So I was like, this would really help people. But to me, niching down really just comes down to one word, one really powerful word, and that's specificity. I think when people go into this world of talking to one-to-many, they make their language broad. And the broader you go, the more confusing it gets. Like people say things like, are you stuck and overwhelmed? Well, anyone who's in any problem, in any niche, any scenario, any situation feels stuck and overwhelmed, right? So you didn't narrow it down to someone to go, oh my gosh, you're in my head, right? Get out of my head. Which is the feedback you want. Get out of my head, right? Like, how did you get in my head? How did you do that? So when other broad words are like grow your business or lose weight, these are very broad and general, or change your life, transform your life. These are very general. And I'm not saying people think it's like, oh, but I do that it works. I'm not saying it won't work. I'm saying it just makes your life easier. It makes your business easier. It makes selling more effective when we move towards more specificity. That's like the whole thing with niching down for me is how specific. And if it doesn't reach a level of feeling uncomfortable, we didn't niche enough. So if it starts to feel, oh, it's a little uncomfortable to go this specific, you're on the right track. Here's my quick gift, and then I'll let you. Oh yeah, we have to finish the timeline. Gosh, I suck at these interviews. I'm so bad at this too. So from video, I transitioned to what I do now, which is one product. It's an 8-figure company with one signature program. That's Business by Design. That's what I teach now. Primarily, I teach people how to launch and scale the digital product-based business. I did that reluctantly. I had the YouTube business going, and it was $1 million a year. 1.2 million was the height of that, and I was making one video a week, and I was surfing like twice a day, and I was not working a lot. And people started asking me, "How are you doing this?" And one person was like begging to teach him how to do it, and I thought I was like shoving him away, and I'm just like, so I put a price. I'm like, fine, I'll help you for $10,000, and he's like, okay. I was like, oh, I was kidding, but let's do it. And, he would come by my office, and I'd show him how I built the business and take a behind the scenes look and help him with some things. And off to the races. He went from 0 to 6 figures in his first year, then turned that into a 7-figure business. So I really love talking about that stuff. But here's my gift. We went and did this really fun exercise and activity with our students inside our program. And we came up with a PDF that's 104 different proven niches that our students are in. There's no opt-in. There's nothing. I'm not asking for an email or anything. I just wanted to give it to you guys because a lot of people are in this silly willy notion of the only people that can make a profitable membership or course or whatever are teaching business or marketing. And the reason why that seems that way is because you are in that world and you're being marketed to by all those people. They know how to find you. They're really good at finding you. But when you're not in those other markets, you don't really know that those other things exist. As Stu knows, I'm building a camper van in my spare time. Why? I don't know. I ask myself that question almost every day. But I'm building a camper van, and I have bought like 9 products, courses, ebooks, PDF plans, buying shopping lists, physical books on camper vans. Every single one I find, I buy it, right? And I'm in that world. And I know a guy who's doing $200K a year teaching and selling how to build camper vans. So don't tell me it's just those money-making marketers selling making money marketing courses that are making the money. Don't you tell me that, because I got a PDF for you guys, 104 niches of people that are their name, their niche, that are crushing it. If you guys want it, jameswilburn.com/104. It's great inspiration and proof to say, oh, wow, there are people in some of the most unique, bizarre, great example is Brett James, homesteading. I didn't even know what homesteading was. And then I realized it's like living off the land, self-sustainment. And boy, if you don't think that hasn't exploded in the past year, you know what I mean? People that want to get away from big cities, live off the land, self-sustain, all that type of stuff. His business exploded. I didn't even know it was a thing. And he's doing extremely well with that. So entire worlds that we don't even know exist, and people are what I call quietly crushing it. So yeah, there's that. Okay. What's next?
Well, okay. So there's a couple things that I want to unpack that you've said here. I'm taking notes, for everybody watching. I'm a note taker. So I try to do this to keep James on track, but also to capture.
We can help you nail your niche. We're all here to help you with that, buddy.
Exactly. I appreciate that. And so a couple things. One, you talked about how clarity comes from action. And I totally agree with you in this, and that so often we try to plan our way to the perfect business, the perfect market. The reality of it is that you don't necessarily know it. So here's a quick overview of my timeline. I went to business school because my friends were going to business school, and the school that they were going to had a pretty decent soccer program. I love soccer. That's why I went to business school. But then while I'm there, I'm like, I discovered that I have an interest in marketing. You know, my first marketing class, I like lit up, and I was like, I could feel the energy. But I didn't want to go down the corporate path. I knew that. So I just went one day and typed in the two things that I loved: sports plus marketing. I just typed in sports marketing into Google, and then I discovered there's like a whole industry. And that led me down a path. And then I realized like that wasn't quite where I wanted to go. But there was a presentation component of that. When I was in that, had an internship there, I was doing a lot of presenting, and I enjoyed that. So when I graduated, I started as my career as a speaker. I started my business as a public speaker, speaking to high school and college students, and realized like there was a cap on how much I could earn. Schools could only afford so much. I could only speak so many times a year. So I needed to learn how to grow my speaking business. That led me to my very first mentor, who taught me about how to package what it is that we know and be able to sell it. And ultimately, that led me to helping others behind the scenes do that. I started an affiliate management company. And from 2005 to 2009, that was my business. And it was a very successful business, but I was trading time for money. And I couldn't scale or grow that business, and knew, because I had just gotten married with Amy and that we were looking to start our family, that if I wanted to be a present husband and father, like I couldn't be burning the candle at both ends. So that forced me to think about a different business model. So I asked a friend of mine, I said, how do I create some leverage and be able to scale what I'm doing? And he suggested to me then, which is in 2008, that I start a membership site. I didn't know what a membership site was at the time. And so I tried to figure it out, and I was trying to use the technology back then, which wasn't what it is today. And I was dealing with things like htaccess files and server settings, and it was like way over my head. And I'm complaining to a friend of mine, Tracy, about this. And he said, well, why don't you just create your own solution? And I'm like, dude, like, how am I going to program something when I can't even use what's already out there? I'm like, no, I can't do that. And he said, well, why don't we team up? And he had a programmer at the time, Mike, who ultimately became a business partner alongside Tracy. And we launched Wishlist Member, which went on to become the world's #1 membership platform for WordPress. And before I knew it, this thing just took off, and we were serving tens of thousands of people, helping them launch their membership sites. And this is where I began to grow my knowledge around membership sites. And yet I was still trying to build an information-based business, teaching people all things about all marketing. It was called My Idea Guy. That was the brand. And it went nowhere fast because how do you try to serve everybody with everything? It's kind of like what you were saying before, James. It just kept falling flat. It felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill. And that's when another mentor of mine, Reed Tracy, in 2015, said to me, Stu, you've got years of helping tens of thousands of people with memberships. Why don't you focus in on that? And James, in that moment, I felt all kinds of resistance. Yeah. Like I felt the resistance of like, no, like that market is so small. It's such a specific thing. There's no way I can be able to serve and build the kind of business that I want with just that tiny market. But Rita's infinitely more wise, got a whole lot more experience. So I trusted him, and I just took that next step. I thought, well, we'll see what happens. And this is kind of what you're saying, is that like you just take that next right step, because it will lead to the next thing thereafter. And that's what happened. And we started our very first workshop, which led to the second workshop, which led to the third, which led to the fourth, which then led to our signature program, Tribe. And that was just an experiment. We were just going to see. We didn't even form a company around that. We were just seeing what would happen. And it took off, and the rest is history. That has now led to, us being able to serve tens of thousands of people. It's now led to our software company, Searchy, none of which would have happened had we not taken that first step way back when. And so it's fascinating for me to see the parallels between the things that you were saying, the things as it relates to, what's happened in my life and my career, your life and your career. And so I want to ask you, for those people who are hearing this and they're hearing, okay, got it, got to niche down. Where do they begin? Where do they begin in terms of thinking how to niche down?
Yeah, the first thing is where not to begin is, I think, a very common place that people start is they ask, well, what do I want to teach? What do I want to do? What do I want to create a product about? And I think that's a really dangerous way to start the conversation. Questions are great, but it's about asking the right type of questions. And the reason why I would advise to ask a different question and to start with a different question is because no one cares what you want. And obviously I say that with love. Stu and I care, but the market doesn't care what you want. Everything that we do and create should be inspired by or created from the inherent pre-existing needs and desires that exist in the marketplace. And so we want to start with a different question. This is where we want to start, which is, first of all, you can ask, who am I here to serve? This is much more of a higher purpose level question. Who am I here to serve? And then the question becomes, and what do they already want? So it's a great little metaphor that I'll take you guys through, which is like, you want to imagine that the marketplace that you want to serve is like a river. So a river has a direction, it has a current, it flows. And so when you go, there's the river of my market, because a market's always changing. People have to get that. You and I know this, because we've been around a long time. Market is very different today than when it was when we started. It was very different than when you started Tribe, right? Mm-hmm. So it's moving. It's a constant change, ebb and flows and all that stuff. And when you go, well, this is what I want to create, it's almost like setting up shop 100 yards away from the bank of the river and then expecting the river to divert itself to you. Probably not going to happen. But what the smart marketer does is says, this is where the river's already going, and I'm going to go right in the middle. I don't meet them there. I'm meeting them at the inherent wants and desires that they already have. So someone came to me and they said, James, I'm a hula hooper. And I go, that's amazing, because I've seen these hula hoopers. They're incredible. I mean, they're doing all their things on the beach and stuff. And I'm like, that's so impressive. And she asked me a question that is what I'm talking about here. She says, how do I convince more people to get into hula hooping? I said, what a waste of our personal power. Why spend your marketing efforts trying to convince people to hula hoop when it would be far more effective to tap into the group of people that already want it? That's a big difference. So yes, we want to do what we love. Yes, your heart is your North Star, your GPS guiding you towards the purpose that you're here to fulfill. Yes, we want to be aligned in our purpose, our mission, our reason for being here, to our business. Absolutely. So we need to do what we love, the love that we have for something. When Stu was talking about, I just got real lit up when I started learning marketing. That was already guiding him towards his purpose. And look at what he's doing now. It's the little like Easter eggs or clues left in our life if we are able to pick them up and notice them. But we have to also be saying, what do they already want? Selling, making irresistible offers is a lot easier when we tap into what the inherent wants are, not needs. We got to start with the want first, because this is what they want. And so if it's what they already want, and I'm going to take you guys through a second exercise, and then you can ask me if that answered your question, then it's what they already want. That's what they're already willing to invest in. That's what they're already willing to pay for. But if it's like, no, I know what they need, but they don't know that they need it, and they don't know they even want it yet, then selling is going to be a really uphill battle, because all you're going to be doing is trying to convince people and confusing people along the way. And that just makes things harder. Doesn't mean you can't do it. It just makes things harder. So here's a great exercise for people is you want to imagine that you are an attendee at an event of 1,000 people. And these 1,000 people are your marketplace. So for Stu, these would be online business owners, people that want to build their business online. So what type of event, who's in this room? Okay. And it's your market. All right. And then so it could be an event for, how to lose weight. It could be an event for relationships. I don't know. And then the creator, the host of the event comes up to you. So you have to suspend disbelief and pretend that this is really happening for a moment. The creator of the event comes up to you and they say, one of our speakers just dropped out and we need you to fill a slot. What are you going to speak about to this group of people for 60 minutes? Now, here's the little caveat for this, which is a fun thing. You're going to speak for 60 minutes on a topic, but you're also in an event that has 5 tracks. So your topic better be the best topic because you want to get as many people to fill your room as possible. So what is your topic? What is your speech? What are you going to share about for 60 minutes that's going to get the most people from the event to your room? And if you took the time to do this exercise and maybe give yourself 2 topics so that, you can have a few options, you may have found your niche or at least a place to start. Because if you got to the end of that presentation and you had 1,000 people on the edge of their seats, would it be too much to ask to say, is there anyone here that would like to continue learning this with me? Is there anyone that would want to go further with this? Come see me after the event. And you may have just found your niche if you have people raising their hand. It's a fantastic and very simple exercise that your market represents the room and the people in the room. But your niche is the 60-minute topic that you share about. And if it's something that people want to go further from, yes, I want to learn more, then you may just have an irresistible offer. And it's the offer that goes in the box of your niche. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think what you're doing here is you're making the distinction between the niche being the market and the niche being the offer, or the topic that you are looking to serve people with, whether it's their wants, which is what you're suggesting we start with, or their needs. And I want to give kind of build on this a little bit, James, and I'll kind of give my 2 penny worth in a real world example of this. Okay. So, that because, along with your camper van that you're building, you have also been using the last year to experiment with Airbnb rental properties.
And I bought a lot of those courses too.
Yeah. And so you and I have talked a lot about this, and same with my wife, Amy. And, last year, my wife has always had the dream of owning her own hotel. And the reason is because she loves creating like experiences for people. Yeah. And so instead of the hotel, we got started with a luxury Airbnb. And everybody, you can follow it if you want. If you go on Instagram and search Dover Lake House, you'll see it. And it's our luxury Airbnb that we created. Now, a lot of people throughout this past year have then been sending Amy direct messages and asking her questions about how she's done this, because the price point that we charge is about 3 times the price for a night stay than the average price in our area. And not only that, but she's charging a heck of a lot more and getting repeat bookings where people are now making it like a destination that they're coming back to every year. So like, for example, the rest of, the next several months are just booked solid. And a vast majority of them are people that are coming back. Yeah. So people are asking these questions like, how are you doing this? How are you charging more? How are you getting repeat bookings? How are you creating this experience? And she's getting these questions all the time. And I said to Amy, I'm like, babes, this is a big sign here. Like this is an indicator. This is exactly what you're talking about. This is a clue to what people want. They're wanting to learn how to craft an experience like that if they are looking to either get started with a luxury Airbnb and or get or have one and want to charge higher prices and craft an experience around it. So long story short, Amy right now is in the midst of creating a membership site for that particular market. And it's born from, again, the clues that were coming from questions that people were asking. And so this is another way in which I love to uncover topics And another way in which I love to uncover those niche markets is by watching and listening to the questions that people are
100%.
asking you, and or that are asking in Facebook groups and blog comments and YouTube comments. Paying attention to what people are asking is another great way to uncover these.
That's a huge way. One of our clients from long ago, Lisa Keeker, she used to own a series of Pilates and health and wellness studios, and she only got the idea because what happened is other studios in other cities, so they weren't competitors at all, got word of how well she was filling her studios. They started asking her, and she's like, well, I mean, yeah, I guess I can help you. And she was doing it for free. And then all of a sudden it's like, man, maybe I should charge for this. And then of course, now she doesn't have any more time. She's doing these one-to-ones. And that's when she came to me and she's like, is there a more leveraged way I could do this? And I think it was either 9 months or her first, by at least by the end of the first year of launching it the first time, she took that digital product to $1 million. $2,000 program. And, it was obvious. It was very apparent because just like you said, people were already asking. It's really funny. People aren't asking me about my Airbnbs. They just want to stay in them. No one's asking me, how are you doing it? They're just saying, can I stay in them? I don't plan on doing it. But you know what I did do? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But if you guys, this is a great tool. This is such an off-topic thing. Kit.co. Are you familiar with Kit.co?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, of course. Stu knows everything. I just
where you list all the things, the tools and resources.
You don't know. No, you're just making it up. Come on, Stu. Yes.
Okay.
It's where you can. Yeah. Marla, get back in here. It's a.
Oh, hang on. See.
Uncle James.
Oh gosh. Show them what you're reading.
Marla.
Look,
what are you reading?
she's you can show?
Yeah.
Marla's into Michelle Obama's latest book.
Wait, that's a huge book.
Oh,
I've read bigger.
yeah. Come on, James. Come on.
I haven't.
Show some respect. Hey, Marla? Gosh, that book's nuts.
Marla, please tell us what Kid.co is. It's basically where you can list out all of your Amazon products that you recommend. So I went and said all the products that I fill my Airbnbs with, from the knives and silverware that we use in the kitchens to the toilet paper roll holders and stuff like that. All the things that we do, we put in these different kits. People find it. And we're actually people are going off our recommendations and we're getting, a ton of affiliate commissions for that. But no one's asking me how to do an Airbnb.
That's a great idea though. Amy, did you know that? Yeah. Okay. Noted. Thank
Amy,
you for that, Mr. Yeah.
Oh, tell Amy if she wants to do a bonus interview or something with me for her training. I would love to share some of the things that we've done for content for her.
Yeah. We're
launching in August.
So it's scheduled to launch in August. So we'll definitely circle around for that.
Wait, I'd love to let my people know because I'm sure people who do follow me are curious about it.
Yeah.
So
well, let's totally do that. That would be awesome. Okay. So this is really good. We're talking about how to begin uncovering the niche and begin to identify where to go. How do you begin validating if you're on the right track? So I want to talk to you about validating it. How, what are some of the next steps that you take to validate if the niche is the right one to move forward in?
Yeah, this is the most important piece. Okay. So what is the saying? What is the Canadian saying? The proof is in the pudding.
The proof is in the pudding. I don't know if that's Canadian, but I mean, we'll go with it. If you want to throw some shade on us Canadians, so we'll stand strong. We can take.
Oh my gosh. Well, in my neck of the woods, it's the proof is in the profit, and it's important. When I first heard this years ago, it was a very simple but true notion that kind of changed a lot for me. We have to remember that the true validation, the true proof of something is when that person pays you. The proof is in the profit. The proof is in the payment. And so it really is about how to get to that as soon as possible, but there's some steps we can do to validate it beforehand. Here's the first couple of validation research things. Go to YouTube. search the top 5 questions that people would have about your topic. So let's use Amy in the Airbnb. How to get started with an Airbnb, how to turn your home into an Airbnb, how to invest in an Airbnb property. If these videos have a good substantial amount of views and you say, well, how much views, James? I mean, if it has 10 views on it, that's probably not very much. If it has 1 million views, that's a really good sign. But even if it had 25,000 views, that's better than nothing, right? That's a great sign right there. Then we want to look for, are there already competitors that exist? I am going to always be the most abundant brain that you're going to come across. I don't operate in competition. Stu is as well, right? People say, oh no, someone's already doing this. It's like, that's good. They tested and verified the market for you. Now let's just do it better. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people do that. They go, but there's already somebody doing that. Good. What was my first niche? It was actually mobile bartending. It was how to set up your mobile bartending business. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, in 14 years, I'm the only person that's ever been in that niche on the planet. For good reason. There's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of people on the planet that want to start a mobile bartending business. And all of them that did, I got them. Because I was only making about 2 sales a month, 2 or 3 a month. And you can't really live off $600. But it got me started, and I have no regrets about, I chose the wrong niche. No. That's how I got that was my training wheels. That's how I learned. And then I grew and evolved. So yeah, if I would have gone to YouTube and said how to do mobile bartending, I would have said it's non-existent. That might have been a red flag. So are there groups on Facebook, videos on YouTube, and competitors that already exist? Are there books in a niche already that exist with reviews, purchases? This is a good sign. Okay. Now, obviously, there's new markets. You know, we have someone that's been a part of our community for 2 years, and she entered the crypto market 2 years ago. That is a newer market. So newer markets, you have to put this in context. There's not going to be as many competitors, and that's the risk that you take. But, you know, that you're probably not going to have a lot of competitors when the market's new. That's obvious. But this is a nice thing to look at. Then we finally want to get our hands dirty, our feet wet and our hands dirty. And Stu, you do this.
Wait, is that a U.S. Saying? I'm just trying to make sure we get our sayings right. And by the way, Michelle just corrected us there. She said the proof is in the brewski. That's Canadian.
I'm sorry, Stu. Your feed cut out for a second. I didn't catch any of that.
It's okay. Go ahead. Get your hands wet or your feet dirty or whatever you're doing.
It's hands dirty, feet wet.
Okay.
Hey, Marla. I'm sorry. You do this, you teach this, I do this, I teach this. We can call it the shot across the bow. We can call it the putting the fishing line into the river.
Tell us what it is already.
And that is to just simply ask if people are interested in this, right? Mm. You know, hey, a lot of people have been coming to me asking how I've been able to build this successful luxury Airbnb in just over a year. And I'm thinking about putting together a program that shows a group of people how to do this. If you're at all interested, and this is the call to action, you have to have a call to action. Everything that we do is direct marketing based. Which I'm going to ask you to do something, you're going to respond or you're not, right? If this is something that you would be interested in learning more about, send me a DM, leave a comment, send me an email, click this link, do something so that I know that you're interested. And if no one's interested, people say, well, what if no one responds? I'm like, well, you may have just saved yourself like months of hard work and heartache. So dodged a bullet. But I test it any way I can before I start making anything.
Yeah, and this is, for our audience, this is our world famous founding member launch, and this is where we have the 5 steps to the founding member launch. One is communicate what the idea is. Where did it come from? 2, cast a vision for what it could be. Say, this is what I'm thinking that it could potentially become. 3, invite people to show their interest and or join as a founding member by sending you a direct message. And P.S. the reason I love inviting people, and then the 4th step is the call to action. Like, what specifically do you want them to do? Which is my personal preference is the direct message, because I see people do this all the time and say yes in the comments. But if nobody says yes, I don't know, maybe others don't struggle with this, but I struggle with, like, my ego gets bruised in that moment. You know, like, oh man, that's yeah, exactly. Oh, nobody likes me. So I always say, like, send me a direct message. Then that way, like, nobody knows whether one person or 100 people, reach out to you. And then the 5th and final step to that is follow up. You got to follow up. Like, don't just get the warm and fuzzy feeling because you got a bunch of people who expressed interest. You got to follow up and send them the PayPal link, the checkout page, whatever it might be, to validate. And I love how you said this, James. I wrote this down. I think it's one of your best quotes. The proof is in the payment. The proof is in the payment. And I think, like, at the end of the day, that is the best way to validate an idea. And as you said, it's not a bad thing if people don't, because you just saved yourself a whole bunch of heartache and energy and potentially investment in pursuing an idea that nobody wants. I'd rather find that out before you go and create a whole bunch of stuff than after the fact. So this is why, if we circle back, you said right from the get-go, the most important thing is to take that next step to get started, because it's going to lead to the next, to the next, to the next. And this is the best way by far to validate any idea. James, this has been fantastic, dude. Keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the final piece here is that how we approach is everything. How we approach it is everything. And my best advice here is to approach all of this like an unbiased scientist. You can almost pretend like this isn't even your business. Like, you're just a consultant for someone else's business. Because in this industry of selling digital products, being a coach, all that stuff, we wrap our own identity and ego into everything we do. So every no, I don't want it is such a hit on ourselves. And when you can remove yourself from it and just be like, I'm a scientist and I want to test something. Do people want this or do they want that? Oh, interesting. Okay. That changes everything, because the reason people aren't choosing their niche, the reason people aren't putting their membership out there or staking their claim and saying, this is what I'm an expert in, this is what I help people with, is because they're afraid of the no. They're afraid of the rejection. And I actually like to take it further than that. And I say, it's not really true that you're afraid of the rejection. You're afraid of what that rejection will mean about you, what that will say about you, and if that means it's true about you. And the important truths here that no one could argue is, number one, the moment you're in business, selling is unavoidable and it's inevitable. We're not putting a donation now button on our website and saying, maybe if I just teach and teach and teach and teach, people will feel bad for me and just give me a little bit of money. I see people do that. I know you've seen people do that too, right? It's like, hey, please donate here. And it's like, that's wonderful, but that's not really a business. And so when we say we're in business and we have an offer is an ask. It's, I want to offer this for this. It's a quid pro quo. So we have to ask for it. And we have to be willing to ask. So selling is unavoidable and it's inevitable. And inherently within the experience of selling, what is also inevitable and unavoidable is the no. People will say no. They'll say not right now. They'll say not yet. They'll say never. And I taught all this, the psychology of selling, all that stuff, at an event I hosted several years ago. And I started with a very simple thing. And I said, I want you to write down and share with me what it means to you when you get the no. When you get a no, what does it say about you? What does it mean about you when someone says no? I went around the room. People were in tears, Stu. Like, people were just like, it means I'm never going to be successful. It means I'm a loser. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not loved. It is tragic. And there was a little woman, her name's Augie. I'll never forget her, because this is like 2014. And, never ever judge a book by its cover, because, she was the most unassuming yet successful person in the room. And, sometimes people are quiet and they stick to themselves and whatever, and you just don't know until you start talking to them. And I intentionally called on her last, because we had talked earlier and I'd found out how successful she was and she was crushing it. And the mic comes to her and I said, Augie, what does it mean to you when you get the no? She looked me dead in the eye and she says, absolutely nothing. And I just pointed at her. I said, that's why she's so successful. People are more concerned and afraid of the no, the rejection, and the meaning that we've associated to it, that we're so concerned by it that we are willing to say no to our dreams, say no to that vision of our business to preserve that ego aspect. And when she had decided in her mind it doesn't mean anything, she was free of it. And that's why she was so successful. Will your first niche probably fail? Probably. Will your first product or membership idea? Very likely. Right? Does that mean you're no? The amount of failed offers and products and ideas that Stu and I have both had, we could count that list, and it's an impressive list. But that's why we're here, because the real difference is that some people keep going while most give up. And I'm always just about getting people into action and getting going. Let's get on the field. Let's play the game. And yeah, you're going to get hit a few times. You're going to fall down a few times. But we already know that when you fall down, you got to get back up.
James, buddy, this has been amazing. Pages and pages of notes.
You'll get there, buddy. You'll get your niche.
I hope so. But I know that it's an experiment, and this will lead to the next, which will lead to the next, and which will lead to the next. But I will tell you, Amy and I were reflecting on this the other day. We were on a walk, and we were just looking back on where we were, and where we are now, because, and this is there's a significant bookend to this, because we are moving into a new home. And just over 6 years ago, when we moved into our last home, we had all the same feelings and thoughts moving into that home. And similar feelings and thoughts are bubbling up again as we're moving into this home. And it was fascinating for us to look back on where we were then and what has transpired since. And when I look at where the business was then, I was in a state of transition. I had just sold my interest in my partnership with Michael Hyatt. I was in the moment of going to begin starting this new venture, called Tribe. We didn't know if it was going to be a thing. And when I look at what's happened in the last 5 years, it's mind boggling to me. And I'm so incredibly grateful. And what's interesting is just the appreciation that has grown for the people that we get to serve. And we get so twisted up and sometimes just trying to make it perfect. But at the end of the day, when I think about all of this, it boils down to something you said right at the beginning, which is it doesn't matter what we want. At the end of the day, it matters what the market wants. And if all we do is look to show up and serve a group of people and just be tuned in to the problems and challenges that they're experiencing, the desires, the wants that they have. If we just get tuned into that and tuned into our people, we'll begin to see that there's a world of opportunity around us in all kinds of different places. And I'll give you an example right now. We were talking about this internally in our business, because our software company, Searchy, it's taken off like crazy, and rightly so, because of what it enables course creators, membership site owners to be able to do. And there's a whole sub-market. We're seeing this as, entrepreneurs with our own business. We're man, if I was starting from scratch right now, I would create a business that is just specialized in helping people set up these types of sites. It would take off like a rocket ship, because there are just people that they just don't want to do it themselves. They just rather have somebody else set it up for them. It's Amy and I, with moving into this new house. Amy said to me today, she said, I've just enjoyed working with an interior designer. Before, we were the ones doing all of those, making all those decisions and sourcing all the different products and things that we're going to put in the house. Amy's it's so much easier just to have somebody else. That's an example. There will always be a group of people that are willing to pay others to solve their problem, their challenges, make their life easier, etc. And so at the end of the day, if all we do is just focus on, serving people and listening attentively to what their problems, challenges, desires, wants, and serve, you're going to find those niche markets to be able to.
So I want to end with a final thought to bring this full circle. We started with this metaphor and this analogy of a game of Monopoly. And I believe what you're speaking to, what I'm hearing as you share, which has been my experience as well, is that, I tell my students that your success is inevitable. What would change in how you see yourself, your goals, your vision, your business, if you operated from that truth, that it's just a matter of time? And what it really comes down to is time playing the game, that those that are willing to play it longer increase their odds. When you're playing the game longer, it is an inevitability that you are constantly increasing your odds of success the longer you play the game. But you can't play the game until you choose your piece. So I wouldn't choose the cat because I don't know where that's coming from. But the shoe or is there a battleship in there?
There's the battleship, the car.
There's a battleship in the car.
Yeah. The hat, the top hat.
So you got to get in the game because the longer you're in the game, the more you are increasing your odds.
James, beautiful way to wrap it up. I want to recommend everybody go to bbdvideos.com. James will be sharing more and building on top of where we have begun today. He'll be building on top of it starting next week, which I'm excited for. These are live trainings. Do you want to kind of quickly speak to that, James?
Yeah, I do. There's a simple phrase that we share in our community of digital product creators that goes like this: the role that you fill determines the results that you receive. The role you fill in your business determines the results that you receive. And so when we recognize this, when we recognize a lot of people that get into business are in the wrong role, doing the wrong things, and not understanding how to run a business or run a business effectively, it ends up running you and pretty much straight into the ground. So the role that we invite all of our students and everyone to participate as you go through these trainings is the role of the digital CEO. So the training is called The Rise of the Digital CEO. And during these free 3 live trainings, free, whatever order you want to say them, I'm going to basically walk you through how we've built our business. The not just like from a marketing, because I think this is a very important distinction to communicate. A lot of the business advice that we are getting isn't actually business advice. It's marketing advice. There's a big difference between marketing advice and business advice. There's a lot of great marketing advice out there, but you have to learn how to run a business. And so we give you the strategy, the tools, what you need to run that business like a business. And you're going to walk away with our blueprint, our model, if you will, for how we have scaled a digital product-based business, how it increases performance. That's really my obsession, is how do we increase performance, personal performance, team performance, sales and marketing performance, and overall business performance. And increasing performance means how do we get more output without additional input? And that gets me really excited. So a lot to cover together.
Well, it all starts on the date that I will not forget, June 17th. That is my wife's birthday. So we will be celebrating her, and we'll be tuning in to the rise of the digital CEO. James, thanks so much for stopping by and sharing with us today. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you. And sorry, Amy, for doing my workshop on your birthday.
And I just have to make a note. Basically, these weren't notes, James. These were just notes to our editors of all the crap that we've got to edit out of this video.
Cut it.
Exactly.
He didn't even say any compliments about me. Let's just cut the whole thing. Yeah.
I'm just teasing. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you. And I look forward to that series starting next week. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.